Super Mario Odyssey, the 3D platformer that literally changed it all, adding new concepts and mechanics that were gone from the series for ages or were never seen at all. And the one mechanic that's certainly the most impressive is the ability to capture other enemies encountered in the worlds. They can be incredibly handy when platforming or fighting certain enemies like bosses. So today we will take a look at the most powerful and useful ones in the entire game. Someone suggested this topic, and after I saw it, I was immediately hyped to make it. And to be honest, I was also shocked that I hadn't done this yet. So let's dive straight in. Number 5. Now to start off, we will look at an enemy that most people don't really think about. Now it's actually quite well known, but most people would think it doesn't fit on this list. However, in my opinion, it completely does. The foe I'm talking about is the classic bullet bill, an enemy that always attempts to chase you. Now of course, when they hit you, they will explode. However, this can also be used to your advantage. You can lure them to blocks so they will break them, and these may contain items such as coins or power moons, which is obviously a huge win. However, in Odyssey, you can do even more with them, because we can capture and use them for a short amount of time to either break blocks or even reach platforms that are located far away, which is incredibly handy. A lot of people underestimate that, because even if you don't break stuff with them or reach specific places, they can be used to travel through the world a lot faster as well, because they have a boost ability. So many times when playing the games, I have also used them to get from A to B a lot faster. For example, when going to the inverted pyramid in the Sand Kingdom. Now, these bullet bills aren't powerful enemies because they can take out tons of enemies or defeat bosses effectively. They are actually quite terrible for that. The reason why they're actually on the list is because they are incredibly powerful when exploring the world or looking for certain secrets. In general, these enemies are handy for more things than most people give them credit for. They are really useful in the game, so they certainly deserve to be on this list. Number 4. Now our next enemy is even more useful than the last one we discussed, and funny enough, it also takes inspiration from Super Mario Sunshine. Well, possibly. Someone in one of my live streams mentioned it, and I kind of agree after thinking about it for a while. By the way, those streams are from 7:30 PM to 9:30 PM Central European Time, every Friday and every Thursday. So hop on by. Now the enemies we're talking about are the gushens, which are floating octopus enemies that kind of live in a water ball, which they also use as a resource for their surging attack. Now, when you capture one of these, you can use them to spray water streams horizontally or vertically, offering powerful boosts of speed. And this stuff reminded me, and also other viewers during that live stream, of the flood scene in Sunshine. I bet they drew inspiration from that. Now, they are also capable of sending multiple water bursts in all directions, damaging surrounding enemies. But those water balls will decrease in size the more water you use. So, just like with floods, you need to go back to the water to recharge every now and then. Now this enemy is like an even better version of the bullet bill, and this time it doesn't die as quickly and is way stronger in combat. We especially noticed this in Seaside Kingdom, where it can take out almost any foe seen there, allows us to travel across the map faster, and we can even use it to reach certain hard to reach places. So it's versatile and good for combat as well. They even themed the whole fight around this, which was pretty fun in my opinion and well executed. So they tick all the right boxes, making them one of the strongest water enemies in the entire game, in my opinion. Although I might say that they're even the strongest. Number 3. Now our next enemy is actually only useful for a handful of things. In a way, it's a lot more limited than any of the previous ones we mentioned. But that isn't a bad thing. The foe I'm talking about is the sherm, a robotic vehicle that attacks by shooting small projectiles out of its turret. And of course, they can be captured and maneuvered to destroy masses of blocks and enemies. But if you want to get rid of one, then they can be easily defeated with a ground pound right on top of them. However, only Mario does something like this. Now overall, when you capture one of these, you can't do a whole lot with them. Sure, you can shoot enemies and ride around, but that's kind of it. So for platforming, it's 100% 100% useless, that's for sure. It will probably give you a disadvantage even because you can't jump or anything really. However, you can take out almost any foe you find with ease, and you're quite fast and agile while doing so. And this is what makes them so incredibly strong in my opinion. You can take out enemies from afar and can dodge any incoming attacks easily. So for combat, it's amazing. Probably one of the strongest in the game, to be honest, because you don't lose the capture when you get hit, and you can even defeat almost anything with just one attack. So don't ever underestimate these guys. They can be hell to take on, but if you're one of them, you have a huge advantage. It's kind of a bummer though that they aren't used a whole lot in open areas. We mostly use them in quite linear sections of certain missions. For example, in New Donk City when we first arrive there and need to beat the mechanical Wiggler boss. To be honest, it would be cool to see them in the open world more, but you can't always have everything. Number 2. Now we move on to an enemy that is among the elite in Bowser's huge army, and that's because it's one mean guy. I'm of course talking about the highly trained and talented Hammer Bros, a set of special forces Koopas who attack by throwing hard objects such as hammers and frying pans right at your face. And when you capture one of these, you also gain the ability to throw all kinds of tools and kitchenware at all the enemies you come across. And those hammers and pans are also great for breaking certain types of hard rock that might conceal valuable items like moons, for example. However, while that's fun and all, they are actually very strong in this game. It's quite shocking even. As soon as you take over one of these, you can jump incredibly high, which I personally never expected, and even when you're going around the place, you're hopping. Thanks to this, you can move quite fast, and with good timing and precision, you can also scale obstacles with insane speed. So one thing you notice right away when playing as one of these is that they are jumpy and quite agile. Maybe just as agile as Mario even. However, he isn't just jumps and fast movements. He's also incredibly strong, because he can throw those hammers and pans quite fast. It's quite funny actually, because you wouldn't expect it at all when first playing as one. However, in the game, it can be handy when taking on almost any enemy seen in the game, because you can just bury them in pans or hammers. Job done. Which is also surprisingly fun to do. Sure, it's usually complete overkill, but this is one of Bowser's elite, so they should be powerful. However, sadly enough, we never get the chance to use these abilities in some sort of grand battle, like a boss fight or something similar to it, because that would certainly make it all even better. And then you can finally use all that power to defeat something big. Because to be honest, the amount of power these guys have should be used for something more than all those small creatures roaming around in the world. Number 1. In the depths of the Cascade Kingdom, there's one gigantic beast that slumbers deep in these forsaken ruins. And another one of these gigantic monsters can be found in the deep, dark woods of the Wooded Kingdom, just waiting for the right time to strike. And this creature is the strongest of all the beings seen in all the worlds of Super Mario Odyssey. And that's because there is no other enemy that could even damage it as far as we know. The prehistoric giant known as the T-Rex, who literally makes the ground shake as soon as he comes around the corner. And if you don't watch out, you will get eaten for sure.
Mario!
However, when we capture this being, we become almost godlike, and that's because they are so incredibly strong. Now, the first time we ever see one in the game, it's sleeping, and we can quite easily capture it, allowing us to get past all kinds of obstacles using its raw power. To be honest, when you capture this beast, you can destroy almost anything. Even gigantic chain chomps are defeated with one simple attack. This already shows how powerful they are. However, later on in the game, we also come across some other T-Rexes that roam around the set path, chasing you down as soon as they spot you. And so you have to stun the beast by making it run into a large wall or a tree as it charges at you, leaving it dizzy. And then they are ready to capture. So it's not that easy to capture one of these. Sometimes you have to put in quite a lot of effort in order to obtain it, but as soon as you're inside of it, you can use it to easily rampage through fossil blocks and large numbers of enemies. However, sadly enough, they can only be used temporarily, as Cappy claims that they are too large large to handle for him. So while they are the most powerful enemy in the game by far, you aren't actually powerful enough to take control of them for very long. But regardless of that, when you do capture one, you are a borderline god while being inside of it. Even the biggest and most powerful foes die instantly when you attack them just once. And when they attack you, it does nothing at all. So at the end of the day, this enemy is by far the strongest of all the worlds seen in Super Mario Odyssey. Borderline prehistoric god.